it takes so long to get trained how to do this.
I'm sorry.
So your old laptop is a touchscreen, is it? So
No, it isn't. It isn't. I figured it was an Apple, so it couldn't be the same as
no,
my
it's not.
PC, yeah.
Sadako yesterday, we were looking at this, and she's groping at the screen. I'm Sadako. She's got an iPad, so she's used to touching the screen to do things. And I still have not really yet used one of those things.
Yeah.
So
Good morning.
Hey, you know what's going on
Pudding. Hi, Karen. Karen, I specifically asked yesterday if Dave had any of your prints left, and he said, no, we're all out of Fireflies, so you have to print more, please. Thank you, Fly.
For the benefit of those who don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I just got back into Tokyo yesterday afternoon. From last time, morning, Tom. Morning, Pudding. From the last time I have been in Nagano, Joetsu, and Utsunomiya, and just got back yesterday, and I'm here till Friday. So I have places to go and people to see.
Oh. That expression my boss used to use that all the time, you know. He'd come into the office, places to go, people to see, and zoom, out he goes, and we're all like, cool.
Well, yeah. Boss is gone. Years and years ago, I'm talking 35 years ago, I worked in Philadelphia in an office that it was a production, drafting, mechanical drawing kind of office, and they ran around the clock, and I worked from 9 at night till 9 in the morning, 3 days a week. It was me and one other guy. We liked the same music, so we had rock and roll blasting in the middle of the night, and we would have lunch at 1 or 1:30 in the morning. There was an all-night diner around the corner, and it was great. We had a 12-hour shift. We would get 12 hours of work done in about 8 hours and just kind of screw off the rest of the time. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the boss is gone. You get so much more done. It's a good thing the printers are all the way upstairs and you're down here.
Yeah, they like it that way too. So
I'm sure they do.
Like it that way. They're okay with me, but every now and then I go out there, I open the door, and I
get out of here.
Exactly.
And they're not shy about telling them so.
Yeah.
I've seen, just yesterday I was here for a spirited conversation about, well, not that spirited, but about the block and the gradient. And
yeah. I mean, no, we weren't funny.
It was a wonderful conversation.
We were on the same track trying to figure out how to do that thing.
Yeah, they figured out how to do it.
We didn't really, but whatever. So.
Well, the printer said, do this, and Dave's like, no, don't want to do that, and then they did it.
But I couldn't show her a better way, so.
There you go. So let's see, Ian's here, hello. Karen has ordered some paper, that's good. All right. Catch up. Conversation. I'm sorry, I keep ragging on Dave about conversation, but there is a lot going on. Sometimes. And then occasionally Dave turns back to the screen and is like, oh, no one's saying anything, okay. Young Polo Kobe Bryant died?
Their helicopter crash last night, so. Sikorsky went down in the suburbs of LA.
Oh. I'm not even that big a basketball fan, but he was a huge personality, and I actually kind of liked him. That's terrible. Well.
So you've been off-grid here, have you, while you've been here?
I have been in many respects, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, you're on holiday, of course.
Yeah, well, I do often have NHK on the TV, but not always the world news. Yesterday, I just got back to my room and watched the tail end of the last day of sumo.
I used to have a Google News tab open all the time.
Is the paper out?
Yes, paper's out.
Paper's out. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, 2 packs today. So, Beichan and Sugasan. I used to keep a Google News tab open all the time. I'm not a news junkie, but whatever, any number.
Yeah, anything big happens, yeah.
And on one night in November 2016, I killed it. I did not.
Yeah, that was a good time to kill it.
Election night, and I thought I just don't want to be reading about this for the next 4 years.
It's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
So I haven't. But what I do have in replacement, I have in my RSS reader, I have a feed from BBC.
Yes.
And the CBC in Canada. Which shows the top news stories, so just to keep in touch with what's going on.
Yeah, BBC is still my favorite news source. They really don't express any particular opinion about the situation in the U.S., so that's fine. And his daughter, too, also sad. Hi, Westwind. Yeah, I'm unavoidable. I just keep coming back.
Gift keeps giving it.
Yeah, well, that's one way to look at it.
You're heading home soon, are you?
Friday morning early. And it's, there's no day I hate worse than the day I leave to go back home, except this time around, I'm taking a little bit of the sting out of it. This whole trip,
business class.
Well, it was business class coming over. It's first class coming back.
No way.
Yeah,
How'd you score that? Airline miles.
Airline miles.
What?
I saved airline miles
for how many years?
4 years. And it's not just from taking flights. I have the credit card, so everything I spend earns me miles. So
first class. We got to start charging you more for the prints.
You already have, haven't you? Anyway. Hi, Mrs. Bowl.
Oh, Mom's there. Hello.
Mom's here. Hi.
See you soon. A couple of weeks, if the airlines are still flying by then.
Yeah, they should be.
Oh, I don't know.
Have you heard? What else have I missed?
The lockdowns are expanding. The Chinese lockdown. The Chinese government has stopped all overseas tourists. Period.
Incoming?
From China, outgoing.
Outgoing?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's it. That's like from now on, next few weeks is going to be Death Valley.
Wow.
Won't affect us too much because we don't have too many Chinese tourists. But this is step one.
Yeah.
If this thing still expands, that's it. Bingo. No travel to Asia. We're going to have a very, very quiet spring here.
As Japan loves to tell people, they're not Asia.
Whatever, but
Well, I don't know, three confirmed cases here so far. So hopefully it doesn't get beyond that.
That's fine, but for us, Plan B is if the spring tourist season is killed, and possibly the Olympics, of course, if this gets much wider, they will cancel
that's a disaster for everyone.
Well, if I were the Olympic boss, I guess you don't cancel, you postpone it for a year or something.
That's really the only thing they could do. Or they could, if it's dying down by then but not ready to rescind, they could just move it to October like they should have done in the first place.
Maybe. So we'll see what happens. So we have Plan B. It wouldn't destroy our business. Of course, it sucks as just one part of our business.
Right.
So
well,
we have subscription prints, and most of us here, the carves printers, the packing ladies would run as normal. Shop girls, I would have to find something else for them to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill me if we had to actually physically close the shop for the next few months. Whatever, we all have lots of projects we could do. So.
Yeah, well, that's a good time for videos and getting back on BBC, or not BBC, NHK. Let's see.
So we'll see how it goes. We're standing by ready to just take whatever comes.
Let's see. Rick Fox received his pilgrimage print #1 with box. Very delighted. Let's see. I have to put on my reading glasses or else.
What's the Zoom here? I'm off the...
I'm sorry.
John, let me know.
I'm off the job here. Okay.
Struggling for your glasses.
All right. You can come down just a little bit. That's good. Now swing the camera to the... Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
Could bring it a bit. The shop somewhere
That'll
there?
work, yeah.
We'll get it.
Oh, I can see now. All right. Nice day in Vancouver today.
What's the snow scene? I heard that, like my mother, I heard she was snowed in, like under...
In Vancouver?
It was like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. All of my kids and my sister said, Mom has been told, don't leave the house. It was slippery, it was snowy, there was snow up to the eaves or something or whatever.
They don't get that much snow.
No, normally, but I think so. So how is it going there? Is there a ton of snow, or is it cleared up, or what? Yeah.
Okay, well, the question's out there. Let's see.
I mean, I think my daughter and mother had a car trip planned, and it was canceled because the freeway was too snowed under or something. I don't know. I didn't hear that completely. So.
All right. Let's see. Baron Hen is delighted with the first print in the GJ series a couple days ago. GJ, I was wondering what GJ is.
That's what the printers upstairs are calling it in-house.
Oh, okay. As soon as you announce that on the stream, that's what people in the stream are going to call it.
Soka. I guess you have to be careful, whatever. It's the woodblock pilgrimage in real life. But
yes.
In-house, the girls upstairs are still calling it GJ. Last year was JJ, Japan Journey.
Right.
Series, GJ.
Well, let's see, what have I done since I went to Nagano and...
Your Facebook...
Well, Facebook stuff, I try to keep up. Not everybody, well, very few people here are...
your expletive deleted posts.
Yeah, well, there was that. I was going to work my way up to that. But no, Nagano, I went to... there's a series of temples. All I have to do is remember the name. That's what my notes are for. There's a series of temples up on a hillside above Nagano. Very scenic, very beautiful. And that was the only place I've seen snow so far. It's the only place I'm going to see snow. Togakushi Shrine. It's a lower, middle, and upper shrine, and they're all separated by about 2 kilometers. And
So you start hoofing it, is that what you did? You start walking?
Well, I intended to take the bus up to the top shrine and walk down. But I didn't find any information that said the bus to the top shrine does not run in the winter because of the snow. So it only goes up to the middle shrine. And I thought, I don't have snowshoes. I could walk in what I've got, but they're talking snowshoes, walking sticks, Sherpas, whatever. And I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. So but I did start walking up. I figured I'll just get to this one point. It'll be okay. I'll see this. And I didn't walk all the way up to the top shrine, but I walked in snow the whole way. Probably 4 or 5 kilometers total. And then came back to where the bus had dropped me off and came back down to Nagano, which had no snow on the ground at all, and it was about 7 or 8 degrees warmer.
The picture you posted on Facebook, there was like a shrine around steps going up to the left. That's the entrance to the thing? Is that right? The starting point? Okay.
Yeah, that was at the middle shrine.
Oh, and going up to the left. Okay.
So it was...
it was light snow on the ground, nothing big.
It was compacted. It was probably 5-6 centimeters. So it wasn't insignificant. It was something to walk in. And it was compacted enough that I wasn't sinking into it.
What are you to expect here in Tokyo this year? We're going to get snow now. It's just a strange winter.
Well, anyway, I got to see the snow. I got to see the shrine. What else did I do in Nagano? What did I do second day of Nagano?
People here in the print parties, when they're talking about going to the Nagano prefecture, they talk about the monkeys usually.
Yeah, I just didn't relish the thought of a 40-minute hike in the snow just to see. I've seen the monkeys, but not up there. I've seen them down in, was it Kagoshima?
Probably seen.
No, it was between Beppu and Uita. There's a big, nice aquarium on one side of the highway. The other side of the highway is a nature park. Preserve. The monkeys are wild, but they're habituated. And if you go at feeding time, which I was there, luckily, they all come down off the mountain to this one open area, and they run all over the place. I had one run right in front of me. I had one run between my legs. I was standing with them shoulder width apart just in case, and they say that's good luck, because everything's good luck when it happens like that. So I've seen the monkeys up close and personal, and that was fun. Let's see. They're talking about ordering paper from England, whatever. What kind of wood do we use for this? This is mountain cherry, Japanese mountain cherry. Oh, the bot's working again.
Yes, it was up a few days ago, yes.
Okay. And they've updated cars on cherry wood glued to a plywood core. Has it always said that?
I don't remember.
Yeah. And cherry has a really, really uniform surface when it's been planed properly. It doesn't have open pores like oak. It's not too hard like maple. It soaks up water a little bit. It's kind of a, oh, did you get some nice photos? I have gotten nice photos on my trip, and I haven't been as photo happy as I have been on others. Not that I'm unhappy, it's just I haven't been crazy about taking a zillion photos, although...
Like the first trip you were here.
First trip I was here, well, not so much the first trip.
First is the one I know about.
Yeah, 2016. Not back in 2007, I took a good bit, but 2016 was my first after I became a professional photographer, and now I'm taking serious photos. Yeah, just at Nico, I was at Nico on Saturday. I took probably a little over 500 frames, but a lot of that is bracketing exposures, because there's a lot of space between screaming bright and shadowy dark. So you can bracket exposures and combine them to make a good picture. But some of my most interesting pictures for people in the group I just took yesterday upstairs, when the issue with, or an issue was being, say again?
Me and Ishkosa.
Yes. I just went up to see what was going on, and there was some discussion about a particular area of one block, and I got pictures of Dave doing a little bit of test printing, doing a little bit of modification on the block from, 40 centimeters away, if that, 30 maybe. Did you see the position I was in looking through
I heard
the
something over
frame?
my shoulder was clicking.
Yeah, there's that little spot where next to where the brushes are.
Yeah.
There's like an opening this
A gap,
big.
is there? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, and I
Maybe I should have paid
actually.
more attention. I'm sorry, I just ignored you. We were just.
Well, no, you were doing what you're supposed to be doing. But I actually had the camera on the far side of the little post there, reaching through around it. So it was an interesting position. Hopefully some of them are in focus. I haven't even looked yet. Tried carving oak once, terrible splintering. Yeah. Local time in Japan is 8:17 a.m. It's Monday morning, 8:17. And it's very cloudy. It's supposed to be a rainy week. So
We have no parties to schedule today. Zero. Absolutely none.
Okay, well.
Which suits me and Kawai-san fine because we have a ton of other things to do. So. We had a trainee today. We got a new trainee, somebody who answered our employment advertising last week, and she's starting today for training.
All right. This is just going to be an office person, or?
No, it's for the shop.
Print party.
Hopefully,
Okay.
if she, if she looks like she can do it, she's starting today.
If she is Genki, she might get the job.
She's been living in Chicago for 5 years.
Oh, well, her English will be as good as you can get in Chicago.
Clearly, she's a control freak. I've got her resume here. It's only in Japanese, but look at the. I'm a bit nervous because she's she's taking courses on how to present a resume, and it's on linen paper and all fonted up. And even though you can't read Japanese, you can see what the.
Yeah, but that's.
So this leaves me a bit nervous. I think it's all presentation, and my experience is like I don't ever have a resume, but I got content. But this lady has got a resume, but there's no content. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, this is Japan, so I expect.
Whatever. As it happens, just as a quirk, that's not really the way to present yourself well to Dave.
To a workshop. Yeah.
I know, I get it.
But if she hasn't been on the stream, if she hasn't been in the shop, how would she know?
No, of course, it's okay.
So.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Let's see. We have a new person, as far as I know. The name is Mongo No, as in Mongo doesn't know. Big fan of the channel.
Yesterday was fun. We had a bunch of people in yesterday who have been on the Twitch stream and on YouTube, and a bunch of fans.
Very good.
And I knew none of them. They were people who had not been commenting and stuff. But
okay. Lurkers, as it were.
Yeah, but once they got here, very enthusiastic.
Great.
Very friendly.
We have another, Sarah Burns Studio, who found you through YouTube. Loves the channel. Does anyone here watch Begin Japanology?
Peter Barrick, the show, isn't it?
Say again?
Is that Peter Barrick's program?
I don't know. Koringami makes a comment about your thoughts on the resume. Dave just needs to scribble on a napkin or a couple pieces of toilet paper.
Whatever, I'm not trying to be pretentious about it.
Well, anti-pretentious, sort of.
I don't know, it ends up being pretentious in its own right.
I guess it does, yeah.
No, I'm not being negative about her at all. I'm 100% open. We're eager to see what she can do.
Yeah.
But just a pristine, picture-perfect resume, which looks sort of a bit sort of phony. He says, not the way to impress me, that's all. But whatever, she got the data. So we'll see.
She actually has a logo on there, which is kind of interesting. Yes, that is the Peter Barakon.
Peter is such a good guy, you know. So competent, so well prepared. I don't know him in personal life. I know him only through work we've done together on NHK. Worked together on a couple of programs, and I've been the subject of a couple of programs of his.
Right.
And compared to other presenters there,
Yeah.
he is just so well prepared, so good at what he does. And I feel a bit sad. I used a segment of one of the programs I did with him in a video I prepared, the one about meeting the carver, Ito-san. And I didn't think of it in such terms. I was just trying to tell the story of a story I had told in the video. So it turns out the little clip I used was Peter saying, and then what? And then I'm talking blah, blah, blah. And Peter says, and I went blah, blah, blah. He says, really? And it doesn't make Peter look very good. I didn't, you know, and people, oh my God, that's the most boring interview I've ever heard.
Well, all the parts on either side of that.
Yes, of course,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
of course. And then I replied, my God, he's the perfect interview. The job of an interview is to poke the guy and get the
Right.
good story, which
Exactly.
is exactly what Peter did, you know.
Right. Well, you know, ask however detailed a question you need to, and then you just keep them
yes,
going.
you keep
yeah.
out of the way. Yes, exactly. So I really feel sad that people were seeing that as being a
Well-
negative for Peter. But whatever, anybody who knows, it's okay.
Well, there are some of the presenters I've seen on NHK, the English language people, who are really awful. I mean, they found somebody who is presentable and speaks good English, and that's pretty much, you know, all I found to recommend them.
And Peter just shows up and does the job, and he's studied. He's got the thing that they gave him the day before, and he's full
Yeah.
of his notes and writing. He's been up half the night making sure he knows what's going on, you know.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Another presenter, you come in the studio, you sit down, and I've got my notes and everything else, and he sits down, and his aide takes his
Right.
jacket off, and he sits down. There's two people waiting in the car outside, the makeup lady that he brought with him and stuff. And then they give him the sheet, and he's seeing it for the first time. He hasn't even
Yeah.
bothered to open
Oh,
it
so
last
you
night,
make
you know.
woodblock prints?
Yeah, exactly. What are they? You know?
Yeah.
But Peter is not like that. Peter is 100% professional. What I can't get is how the other guy can actually keep his job.
Is that a cat out?
There's a stray that lives in the alley behind us.
Yeah, that's
That
where
may be
it's
it.
coming from. There was just a cat yowling out back. Let's see. The guy on the 2020 Olympics show is really bad. It's all right. You'll get to see the coverage from whatever country you live in. It'll be as good or as bad as your own country's commentators do.
But I comment now, somebody just said he's very bad, and it's the thing, he's just no preparation. He thinks he's good enough to wing it, and
Yeah.
some of us aren't, and some of us aren't. So,
Well, you know, I could probably do commentary on modern biathlon. It wouldn't be very informed or colorful. It'd just be, hey, he's on skis and he's got a rifle. What could go wrong with that? And no, that's not part of the Summer Olympics. It's okay. After the SMO was over yesterday afternoon, they had ski jumping on one of the channels. It's, you know, they do a good job of presenting the sports that Japan is good in.
well, that's okay.
You know.
It's their job, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those things. Like, I guess, you know, if you've got people who are not very large and extremely compact, as some Japanese tend to be, you know,
Is that helpful for ski jumping?
well, I imagine it would be. I mean, because the skis are the same size. So imagine an airplane with the same wings, but a much smaller, lighter body. It'll fly a lot farther.
I'll keep across I don't know the physics, but I wouldn't.
Sure. It's, if you have less mass. And
Hey, we finished the
and
cat.
the cat's done.
One cat's done. The back cat is done. Now we move to the front cat.
You've covered a lot of ground while I wasn't looking.
You keep talking, I'll keep carving.
Yeah. Works for both of us.
We had a good one yesterday, and I said there was a bunch of 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, enthusiastic YouTube viewers.
Right,
you know,
right.
And we've mentioned it before. They come in, I'm sitting here sometimes, I'm sitting over there. They come in the door, and immediately people come in the door and look this way. You can see from their face. And sometimes I do this. I just, YouTube. And they're like, how did you know? Because it's a face. It's a YouTube face. Because, you know.
Yeah.
And there was one young guy came in, and he had 2 girls with him, and they were in kimono. And they rented the kimono to do this. And he hasn't done that, because now the girls do it, but the guys are not too hip. So and I actually ignored them first. I didn't see anything when they came in the door, and I just thought it was another. Actually, at first I thought it were Chinese tourists walking through. Okay. And we were chatting, and he was here looking back and forth, looking back and forth, looking back and forth. I thought nothing of it. And then at one point he came up and said, "Dave," oh, okay, sorry, excuse me, I just thought you were browsing. He says, no, are you busy? So I didn't want to bother you. He says, I'm enjoying the YouTube channel. And the conversation went on and on. And he really has been enjoying the YouTube channel. Like, he can bring up, I saw this, what can he ask me a couple of questions about this? This is not some casual click and see something. He's actually really watched this.
That's great.
And the girls are standing there like their eyes are rolling. And he's like, he's putting up with it while he's here, So, but he really was enthusiastic. So I forget the trigger for this, but I said, okay, no, I know. Let me show you something. I went upstairs and I brought back a little plastic package and put it on the counter, and I opened it, and it's Ito-san's knife, the one that I used in the video. It's here, of course.
Right, yeah.
Show people. And he's like,
yeah.
So like, and then he's, can we take a picture and stuff again, or whatever. So that's fun. And then the girls are like, oh my God, and they start looking at their watches, kind of a thing.
Right, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's like, I forget the name of the movie, The Pick of Destiny, from a Jack Black movie.
I don't know the reference.
No, you wouldn't, but Kurt Gowdy during the Olympics and Jim McKay on ABC, back when ABC carried the Olympics. I remember Jim McKay is the one who was on for over 24 hours straight during the terrorist thing in Munich, when the Israeli athletes were held, it was 72. And I just remember when the news came in that they had all been killed at the airport, and he almost collapsed. But I mean, he held it together and he was professional about it, but you could see, he was just destroyed. They're all gone, and then they kind of went off the air. Dave carved the cat so well it started meowing.
I should have thought of that. There you are. Yeah, I missed a chance for that. Sorry. Somebody's sharper than I am here today.
It's quoting gummy.
Somebody's much sharper than I am today. Chocolate egg, please.
Yes, chocolate egg.
Jealous chocolate egg. I should have said, as soon as that tapped me out, I should have said, hey, shh.
Yeah.
I missed it. I'm getting old. Sorry.
No,
that's the way she goes.
We were probably talking about something.
That's the way
else.
she goes. No excuses. No excuses. I failed. Failed. It stings.
Well.
But it took him a few minutes.
Well, I think the chat is a little bit slow behind the.
Not a few minutes.
No, not a few minutes. I'm trying, Dave.
Failure stings, It's the athlete who used to be able to do it. Now everybody's running faster than he is. Whatever. It's called age and whatever.
No, you could be like Usain Bolt, and now he's doing commercials in the U.S.
No different skill set. That's fine.
Yeah. Yes, there was a yappy dog he just run past a minute ago.
There are a lot of those in Japan around here. Urban Tokyo, of course, it's the kind of dog that people can keep at home.
Yeah, don't see too many Great Danes.
No.
Yeah, I was at Nikko. I was leaving. I had just walked out through Yomeimon, the main gate at Nikko, and there was somebody walking along, and they had a basket. Well, it was a bag under their arm, and form-fitting to a long-haired dachshund, which it was its head and a little bit of its neck sticking out.
At one end.
And it was very calm. It was just looking around. But I guess it's something they sell in the States. There are dogs that get very jumpy when there's thunder and lightning. They hear the thunder, they get very upset. And they sell these things called thunder shirts. It's like a tight-fitting sweater for the
Snuggly,
dog.
right?
And apparently that's supposed to give them some sense of security. And apparently they've convinced people that it works, and some people say it actually does work. But, we need to give all these little yappy dogs
Security.
the Thunder shirts.
On a busy day out here, if you stand outside on any given half hour, there will be any number of people walk by with a baby buggy.
Yeah, with dogs.
With dogs
yeah,
inside.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I remember seeing that Thunder coat, Thunder shirt, and yes, it does work. And this is coming from somebody called Taco Dog 40K. So apparently,
How are you typing with those paws?
good point. It's voice recognition.
Speech to text.
That's right. They're quiet down because they can't breathe. Wow. I was at a festival in Chichibu. It was 2016 December.
The winter one, I mean,
the night
thing,
festival. Yeah.
There's some
And
good print ideas in that festival, I tell you.
I was there. Yeah, I can only imagine. I was there all day, and saw plenty of people pushing their little doggies around in strollers. They look very cute and they look very pampered. Where I live, I live in a city, but I'm not far at all from the country, and the area of the country where I live is pickup trucks and gun racks and hound dogs. So there are plenty of people.
Dogs and strollers there.
Not too many dogs and strollers, no. So let's see, what else would be interesting? I had planned on originally thought about going to Niigata, which is a city on the the Sea of Japan coast, the west coast, the northwest coast. And I ended up not going there, just didn't really find a whole lot of things that would interest me, so I ended up going to a smaller city called Jetsu, which has even less stuff. I went to an aquarium, which was fun. I went to a little park where they've reconstructed a castle turret, which was nice. I did a lot of walking. I was only there for one full day. But from the aquarium, you can look out over the Sea of Japan, which is kind of cool. And I had not seen it before. It looks very much like an ocean. Only difference is North Korea is on the other side. So I waved to Mr. Kim. One finger. Let's see.
That wasn't the reason you were going up there to go to Motegi, is it?
No, that's a whole different.
Jojutsu, really?
No. Jojutsu's all the way out to the Sea of Japan coast, and Motegi is.
I'm confused where it is.
Yeah, Motegi is east of Utsunomiya.
So okay. Gotcha. I had the two conflated here.
What did I bring back for Dave? Oh, I forgot. Where did I put it? Oh, it's right here. Here's what I brought back for Dave.
Huh?
Yeah.
What? The new one. It's 100%. Full proof, 100 proof.
No, that's the only one I found.
This is the new one.
Okay.
The old one has been, it was colored water that looked sort of orangey.
No, this
one
is actually-
supposedly, I don't think it is 100 proof, but it says on the package. Interesting.
100 proof. It's kind of early in the day.
100%, so. But the thing
it's still
about
carbonated.
the ingredients, well, we talked before, we blew away, Audrey's son, who's from France.
Which is really.
Did we have the conversation on the stream about what happened to Audrey? Audrey works for us here. She's off now. She's pregnant, so she's off. But she noticed I'd been drinking this. And
Yes.
I forget the conversation. I was drinking one at lunchtime. She's eating her salad. She's a vegetarian.
Right.
And I mentioned about this strange idea that they're calling this orangina when it's actually not maybe oranges. And like she says, What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And we looked at the ingredients, and it's lemons and lime with a cut orange like food flavoring, and it's what your head. We were still scraping your head off the roof.
Yeah, yeah.
So, thank you, Johnson. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, it's,
Lunchtime here.
okay, I'm having mine now. Breakfast was one onigiri, so.
What have you been doing for breakfast? Because Tokyo is not a breakfast city. Absolutely.
Well, no, every evening I go to the local konbini and I buy a couple of onigiri and I put them in the fridge in the room and I have them for breakfast.
It's unfortunate. It's just not the thing that Tokyo does very well at breakfasts.
Japanese breakfasts are a little different. I mean, I've had full-blown Japanese breakfast with the little fishies and other odds and ends.
Grilled fish is the classic Japanese breakfast.
Yeah.
But even finding one, because there's nobody out and around at that time of the morning.
Yeah, there are. I've seen it occasionally as part of hotel breakfasts, which I usually opt out of because they cost about $10 and they're not worth it. To me, anyway. So yeah, the onigiri that's my thing. It's a little triangle of rice wrapped in nori, which is the seaweed, and it's got a filling of spicy cod roast, salmon, tuna mayonnaise, shrimp mayonnaise, seaweed, occasionally beef.
Umeboshi.
Yeah, pickled plum umeboshi. You see that? That's a little much for me in the morning. I usually pass that by.
The other classic Japanese morning thing is it's called morning. If you can find a coffee shop.
And what is it?
Morning. Morning.
Okay, morning.
It's a menu item. You go to a coffee shop, just say morning, and they will bring you a cup of coffee, and it varies a little bit. It's a slice of thick toast, the 1 inch thick toast, and then a hard-boiled egg and a tiny scrap of salad, and that's a morning salad. It'll be 400 yen, 500 yen with the coffee. And every coffee shop in the country, that's their start of their day.
All right. Hi, Wild Omelet. He's apparently just joined. Well, my goodness. Wild Omelet came in, said, "Who is our guest?" First answer comes back from Koringami, says, "It's John Becker." And then Karen, Vivid KP, says, "That is the famous John Becker, Tennessee."
Enjoy it while you got it. It will disappear quickly. It comes and it
Oh,
goes.
fame is so fleeting, it's terrible. I'll go back to my I'll go back to being unknown. That's fine with me. I'll just be some other guy on the chat. Let's see. Nagoya-styled morning service seems like it would do well if people could stop for coffee in the morning. Thing is, I don't do coffee. I never have. I found it keeps me awake all day.
Wait, used to be, years and years ago, you were a heavy smoker, weren't you, at one time?
I was a pack-a-day smoker, yeah.
But was it coffee and cigarettes at that time? Or no?
No, it was never coffee. I would occasionally have a cup back when I was in college to feel like I was a grown-up or something, but no, I just don't like coffee. I don't like the taste. I don't like, I guess if you're used to the caffeine, it doesn't make you jump around. But, if I have a half cup of coffee, you'll peel me off the ceiling.
Even the mild stuff, like the thing we do in our machine here, it's so mild, it's just mustard.
No, I've never tried it, but still.
I'm not trying to drug you up.
Let's see.
I can't enjoy the coffee in the coffee shop across the street because it's so draggy, it's so brown. My stomach starts to hurt soon after a few minutes.
That's not good.
I guess for real coffee aficionados, that's the stuff they want, this brown, treacly liquid, but I can't do that. So.
Well, if you can't chew on it, it's not worth it. Let's see. Yoshi Wearing Pants says, "I found in Japan," it's a great name, "I found in Japan that they are really good at making American dishes like hamburgers and such, but couldn't find any good American breakfasts. I have yet to have a hamburger here. I have not gone to Mossburger. I haven't even gone into McDonald's to get a Big Mac just to see if it's any different, because I haven't had a Big Mac in probably 30, 40 years. Let's see, we have, what do you have? Flyfish says we have that at a local supermarket that has a Japanese section, made fresh. It's great.
Which one? What are you going to get him?
Possibly the morning, yeah, just the morning. I don't know. But yeah, cigarettes. I smoked for 32 years, about a pack a day, and I quit. It's been 8.5 years ago. I used an e-cigarette for, well, within 4 days I stopped smoking real cigarettes. I just used the e-cigarette. And I used that for 5 months until it fell apart. That was back before they were a real thing. They were just cobbled together. So it fell apart, and I just said, well, the hell with that, and I was done with it. So I was extremely lucky, because if it had been a little more of a challenge than that, I might not have stopped. It's the bad thing is it's both an addiction and a habit. You know, you go through all those motions, and you know.
I never tried it, you know, not even once.
Yeah, and if I never had, I would have been better off. But
our house, and all my parents, when we were younger, my parents were both quite heavy smokers. And to their credit, though, once the public health thing started to grow in the 1960s, they both quit cold turkey when I was about 13 or so. So we have pictures from when I was a kid, you know, I'm a little baby, and there's
Mom and Dad with the cigarettes, yeah.
But they quit.
Well,
they quit.
Yeah, my mother was from North Carolina, and you know she smoked because it was the law. And the I remember, you know, back in the '60s, she smoked Winston's. They came in a gold pack, and I used to give her trouble, you know, because everything I saw on TV was it's going to kill you. And she finally did quit. She was never a heavy smoker. She probably smoked 5 or 6 a day. And my dad would have 1 or 2 a week, maybe. He'd steal my mom's cigarettes. And he smoked a pipe for a little while. I remember him saying, and then I felt there was one day I started looking for it, like, yeah, I need my pipe. And he said, oh, no, 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 no. And then he stopped. And they never smoked anything else ever again.
Think about my parents when they quit. He was a musician, working nights, like in clubs and stuff.
No, he's around smoke anyway.
So everything.
Yeah.
So it must have been difficult for him, you know.
Sure.
You go in the club and all musicians are smoking. You get off in the break time and they're all packed right up, you know.
And
so it must have been tough.
He was a sax player, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know how you play a wind instrument smoking. Jeez.
But they were all the whole band: trumpets, trombones, saxophones. It's a jazz band.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some lung capacity. I guess. I mean, the exercise has a lot of effect.
Some years later, a good friend of his, a guy called Fraser McPherson, a friend of mine too, and he was a saxophone player, and in that club environment, and he got lung cancer, and they took out a huge chunk of one of his lungs. It left him just enough that he could play, in quotation marks.
Wow. Okay. I imagine he had to get really good at circle breathing, because if you don't have lung capacity, that's all there is. Let's see. About as good a rep for Tennessee as we could ask for. No, you could probably do better. You could have Marsha Blackburn, and that's all the politics we'll get into today. In Sasebo, they have a French bakery next to the hotel, and they were good. Well, there are, even in smaller cities, like really smaller cities, there's always some kind of patisserie or, what?
I was checking to see where I am. Like I wander off the view sometimes.
No,
nobody's saying anything.
I'll let you know if I happen to notice what you're doing. I'm looking at the chat. The triangular rice wraps with nori wrap. That's an onigiri. Yeah.
The newer ones, of course, only the last 10 years or so, they've got some spectacular packaging worked out. Onigiri traditionally, it's fresh, of course. It's the rice and stuff, and it's fresh. And you can't wrap it up because the seaweed just gets all
crumbly and
seaweed.
It's soggy.
Soggy. So the 7-Eleven type people you've seen these things?
Yeah, sure.
The high tech, and I don't know the robot that makes it. There must be like 6 layers of plastic. The middle goes in, the rice goes in, the rest folds.
Yeah.
And to open it, you need instructions. Pull tab 1, pull tab 2, and when you do it, it's sort of here we go, and it's pulling.
Okay.
Whatever.
The way it works is they form the rice ball, and they've got the filling in the inside. So it's a little triangle. It's about that big, and then they wrap it in plastic. Okay, but there's a thin opening in the middle. It's kind of, if you have this, it's like two halves with a thin seam in the middle. Then they wrap the nori around that
the seaweed.
the seaweed sheet. And then they wrap that in plastic.
So the seaweed doesn't touch the rice while it's in storage.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeps the seaweed dry, crispy, and holds its shape. So the wrapping, you unzip the number one, you grab the top and unzip it all the way around, and then it leaves you with two halves of plastic, and you hold gently and slide, and the two pieces of plastic, the inner wrap and outer wrap, both come out together. So now you've just got rice and seaweed, and then you pull out the other side. It's ingenious.
It is. The guy who, I hope he's a millionaire.
No, it's like the guy who invented, or the lady who invented whiteout, liquid paper. Remember the monkeys back in the 60s, the TV show The Monkeys? It was like
I remember the name, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah, they occasionally were called the Prefab Four and whatever. Cameron's here. Mike Nesmith, one of the members, his mother was the inventor of liquid paper. Yeah.
Thank you.
Made a
Good morning,
fortune.
sir.
Hello.
How are you, Cameron?
I'm alright.
Remember this guy?
What? Oh yeah, I remember this guy.
Yeah.
How's your trip been?
Very good, very good.
Good.
Facebook is still smoking.
Yeah.
Well, it was just that one day, and I wasn't that virulently angry. All I said was I was going to write a sternly worded letter.
Guys, you gotta tell us when you close here.
I guess has everybody here has heard about that, or no? They haven't. They haven't.
I just saw your.
Only the people on Facebook have heard.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I had planned. Let me go through the chat real quick. Let's see. Circular breathing is a pain to learn. I guess it would be. How long does it take to learn not to let the knife skip across the piece? This is a question for you, yeah. Honest?
I'm holding it. My hand is on the wood firmly. The knife is pressed against my finger. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's and the knife is going down into the wood far enough that you've got a very
it's
stable.
Not free. I'm not doing this freehand. My hand
it's
is
not like
here supporting
that,
it.
so, yeah.
There's no skipping.
Okay, that's enough about you. We'll go back to. Let's see. Baron Hen is guessing that circle breathing is much easier on sax than oboe. I think everything is probably easier on sax than oboe, just because it's a single reed instead of a double.
The conversation today is going all over this.
Yeah, I love it like that.
Printmaking, you people. Get to the program.
Let's see. Now Karen used to play clarinet and bassoon. Both use about the same amount of air. I would have guessed a bassoon you would need a ton more air.
Yeah.
But yeah, that double reed versus single. Guy in the chat, yes, that's who I'm talking about. I did not vote for her. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Politics.
Yeah. Love the bassoon, could never deal with all the thumb keys. I didn't know it had more than anything else, but okay. And many good morning Camerons.
Oh, good morning,
Yeah,
everyone.
they noticed he's here.
Alright.
You know what? I can sit up, and you can sit up.
Yeah. Or I can just go upstairs and let you run the whole thing if you want.
Wow, I enjoy your company, and I'm sure everyone else here does too.
Yeah.
But back to the
I know. Get to know
the thing we were just beginning to talk about that Cameron mentioned about blowing up Facebook. It wasn't that bad. One of the things that I'd planned on doing was going to the Honda Collection Hall in Motegi at the racetrack, Twin Ring Motegi. It's a history museum of the company Honda. Vehicles, motorcycles, and cars, both production stuff, racing stuff, everything. I've been looking forward to that for years. I always wanted to go, but it's a pain in the neck to get to. It's like one bus in the morning, and and it takes an hour and a half, and it's just a pain. You start from a city called Utsunomiya, and you go out to Motegi, And so I had never gone because it's
Point
just a
being, they don't
pain.
need public transport because everybody who's interested has a Honda car.
Well, I do too, but I didn't bring it with me.
Didn't
So
fit in your luggage?
I did not. And did you see the picture that I posted of the car that I
You
saw at
rented?
Joyce?
Oh, yeah.
My car, yeah. Anyway, so at home before I came over, I got an international driver permit, and I rented a car from Utsunomiya at Toyota Rent-A-Car, and that's where the karma went bad on me.
Yeah.
But Honda doesn't have a rent-a-car that I'm aware of. So I took what I could get.
Rented from the
There you go, that was the end of it.
Yeah, well, if Honda had a car rental, that's where I would have gone.
Nissan does and Toyota does,
Yeah, but so I drove. It's right around an hour from Utsunomiya to Motegi. Using the GPS in the car, everything worked fine. And I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, sitting in the wrong side of the car. Every time I wanted to make a
Oh, you
turn,
mean mentally the wrong side? You're actually on the right side of the road. But
I was on
mentally
the correct side of the road for Japan.
Yeah, but I mean, when you
But
said
I'm from the
driving the wrong
States.
side of the road.
No, I was driving where I was
Okay,
supposed to be.
okay.
But every time I tried to make a turn, I was hitting the turn. Well, no, I wasn't hitting the turn signal. I was hitting the wipers.
Yep.
Because the turn signal's on the wrong side.
Yeah, Cameron's been there, done that.
Everything's, well, I guess everybody does. You know, for 42 years I've been driving, the turn signal's over here. So I show up, I pull up to the gate, and the gate's closed. And there's a big sign that says we're closed from January 20 to February 5th. And I was upset.
I was upset.
What I put in the Facebook
Yeah, you
post
didn't
was
have to
that
put
I
that
felt
on
like
Facebook.
Clark Griswold at Wally World. You know, you pull up to the gates and it's closed. And there was nothing on there was on the Japanese website. I found out later there was not on the English website. Nothing about it at all. So I'll write him a little email. And Dave has counseled me on the tone I should be taking, which makes sense. And I'm not going to align the cones like last time. You're just going to have to live with it. Here, yep, there they are. They're unaligned.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Let's see. They're still talking about
Are they
thumb
badly aligned?
keys
Yeah,
and
they
double
must be.
reads. Sorry?
Are they badly aligned?
They are very out of line, yeah.
Oh, it's Monday morning, after the weekend. They got kicked around.
I'm sure. It's all those, the kids at the Korean hot dog place, I'm sure. It's their fault.
No, they now park their truck across the street. We had a little discussion. No, the guy comes at noon to restock, a little black truck.
Uh-huh.
And he was in the habit of parking it in front of our shop. And
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
no, so I asked him, what are you doing? He says, well, wait. He said, park in front of your own shop. He says, if I park there, customers can't see the shop. He said this. If I
Yeah.
park there, customers can't
Yeah.
see the shop.
And then, yep.
That's the idea, friend.
If you park here, they can't see our shop.
Well, here's a good quote. I totally signaled my turn. Couldn't you see my wipers going?
Okay.
Yeah. But the only part of that was really white knuckly was when I first pulled out of the parking lot at the rental place, and I had to drive in city traffic. Not heavy city because it wasn't Tokyo, but
It's not a tiny city either.
it's not a tiny city, and little streets and everything. I'm not used to making right-hand turns like that and left-hand turns like this. It was just weird.
Yeah.
But, no problems. The speed limits are god-awful slow. I was driving, 30 miles an hour, or 30 kph in the city, so it's 20 miles an hour. And then Route 69 that runs from Utsunomiya to Motegi was 50 kph the whole way,
You're going
which
30
is
miles.
about 35 miles an hour, 32 miles an hour, whatever.
Yeah, not that.
Now, everyone was doing 60, so I was all the way up to 40.
Woo.
And, yeah, that was it. Things are right in bizarro world if the cones are out. Well, no, the cones are never perfectly aligned, even when I tried. But they're pretty far out. So
Rule number one of cone world is we don't touch the cones.
all right, you don't.
It's no fun.
Well, I guess it would be like trying to herd shoe lady into the doorway. Here she is. That would be wrong. Don't tempt
Needs to
fate.
be okay.
Don't mess with the
Yes,
universe.
yeah. Cameron's car. Yes.
Okay.
And what did you end up doing with your rental car? Suddenly your destination was
Well, he didn't tell us the
gone.
story. He crashed it into the gate.
No,
Yeah,
no,
perfect.
I-
Oh, didn't you read the news reports?
I got the tiniest car they rented, so it wouldn't have gone through the gates.
The gates.
Yeah, I had thought it'd be cool to get a K car just to have something
Oh, yeah.
really small and underpowered.
Yep.
And they don't rent K cars.
Oh, really?
No, smallest I could get still had a white plate.
Oh, huh. Rented them, but I know every location's different.
Yeah, the one there, I said
Sorry.
the smallest you've got, and
Yeah.
she showed me the list, and
No, I want a yellow plate.
yeah.
That's what we own.
Your legs
It's a
are too
little
long.
K car, the Wagon R by Suzuki. We like
Okay.
it.
Well,
Tiny.
for those not familiar, Japan has a special class of cars they call colloquially called K cars, KEI cars.
No relation to K-pop.
No,
Right.
not a
Not the
Chrysler
letter.
K car, no.
Yeah.
And they're limited to 660cc engines and specific dimensions and weight. And they're insurable for a lot less money. They use very little gas,
Have less tax.
less tax. Everything
You
about
pick them
them
up
is
and
smaller,
ring doors
cheaper.
when you get home.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I park
Folds
crooked, I
up,
just
goes
go
in
out the back
circles.
and pick it up and
That's
reload.
right. It's like a 2CV. They actually used to do that with them.
It's not that.
Not well. Anyway, I didn't get a K car to rent, but it was probably like a 1.2 liter engine, and I hadn't given it any thought beforehand. But once I came to a stop, I realized, oh yeah, the engine does shut off every time you stop, and as soon as you take your foot off the brake, it starts back up, and just like that.
Newer car.
It has the.
So this wasn't an electric. It was
No. It was a regular gas. It wasn't even a hybrid, as far as I know.
Just one with the off on.
Yeah, and I think there might have been a switch for echo mode,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, every time I would pull out, the light would go off. I would get into like stable cruising mode, and a little green light on the dash would come back on and say, yeah, you're driving in echo mode now. So.
Economy though.
I thought Echo was in. What?
ECHL.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It makes
I
it makes
get
it sound
I don't-
louder.
I
You
don't
just
have
hear
a
it
car.
twice.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it took me a few minutes to figure out what you're talking about. I got you.
Okay.
Echo is
Gas saving
ECO.
mode,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
ECO mode.
All right. Sorry about that.
All right, fly
K
rented
cars
a.
and lawnmowers with turn signals.
Pretty much, yeah. Flyfish says rented a Honda Civic Stick in New Zealand for his first time on the wrong side of the road. That would see. I only had an automatic, and that would have been a whole extra level of
It
oh my
might be better
god.
that way to keep you really focused on what you're doing.
I was
You
pretty
know, you
focused
can't- you
already.
can't switch it. You
I
can't-
was like this focused,
Yeah.
but yeah, I drive a stick in the States, so the clutch would be in the same place that I'm used to, but the stick's over here. That I would have my head would have exploded. And my first two Hondas, I had an '87 Civic Si hatchback and a '92 Civic Si hatchback, and they were fantastic cars. Yeah, that '92. Oh man, what a great car! Never should have traded that in.
You haven't looked up any of these car clubs and stuff that do their things on the weekends, like in the parking area under the Rainbow Bridge. There's the Honda group bring all their souped up stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not really into the JDM whole.
All I know is there's this real scene there for people.
Yeah, I mean, my car is 18 years old and it's bone stock, and
Okay.
it's just a really great car. I'm more a fan of the company history than I am of any.
Yeah, performance.
Customization.
Yeah, the custom stuff. Whatever. They have the shutdown system on some buses here. Engine cuts out whenever they stop. Yeah, but then they pull out and it just goes. Rrr. I was behind a truck on the way out to Motegi that, I took my eyes off the road for like a couple seconds so I could find the recirculation button, to shut off outside air because it was just blowing smoke. It was terrible.
Yeah.
In the UK, we say eco for echo.
So, eco mode.
In-
Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
Okay,
I didn't get it.
it's good for the.
Enjoy Nagano and Niigata and stuff?
Yeah, not Niigata, it was Joetsu.
Okay, well, that's part of
It's
Niigata.
the Niigata prefecture, but it was yeah, it was nice.
This is county territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did enjoy it up there. Funny story about Joetsu. I went to, is it Joetsu Miyaka Station?
Okay.
That's where you go on the Shinkansen.
Oh, okay.
And it I don't know why it slipped my mind, but I kind of forgot about the extra 6 minutes of local train travel to the station I needed to go to.
Oh, no.
But I knew in my head where the hotel was, so I get off at Joetsu Miyako
Yeah.
and start walking in the direction of where the hotel's supposed to be.
If you were at the right
If I were at the right station.
Oh, no.
And it was freezing cold, and it was
Yep.
windy, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
And it was miserable. And I walked for about 10 minutes, and I said, okay, obviously this is the wrong place. And I looked, I was like, oh yeah.
One more station.
One more station. So I had to walk all the way back to the station,
Oh, no.
get on the little local train. And then it was right where it was supposed to be.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Let's see. Was it I'm trying to remember. I think it was at Nagano. Yeah. The traffic lights at Nagano, for some reason, when the walk signal goes on, it doesn't chirp, it doesn't beep, it plays Coming Through the Rye. I'm sure there's a reason.
Sure there is.
Little things like that. Walking around in Joetsu, they have, in the Ekimai area, the area right in front of the station, it's covered walkways. And just kind of random music playing. And I was walking along, and you know how when music's on, you're not really listening to it, but occasionally you hear something you recognize.
Yeah.
And what are they? And it was Journey's Open Arms playing.
Yep. They
Music.
often play lots of classic rock songs, but
music stuff.
music.
Yeah,
like
There's
music boxes.
There's a
and-
rationale behind the other one. The one you,
Coming Through the Rye?
yes, there's 2 or 3, it's for the blind people, so they know that it's started. There's 3 tunes that are used, and they tell them how far it is to either side. Tune A, tune B, tune C. You have 10 seconds to get there, you have 15 seconds, it's a long street, you have 20 seconds, whatever. There's 3 types. I don't remember which they are, I don't even remember the other tunes, but it's not randomized.
Okay.
So if you're in Kyushu and you're blind and you're getting around, you hear that, you know, get walking, and you know you have whatever it is, 12 seconds or something to get across.
a short one, a medium one, and a long one.
Yeah, I think it's 3, it might be 2, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact details, just somebody told me the story about that.
Cool.
So it's not random, and that's the reason it's...
Right, so if it's a
unified.
long way across the intersection, they play We
Which
Feel
do-
Like We
good
Do.
questions.
Or if it's a really, really long way, they play Inagata Davide with the drum solo.
Or if you've only got 10 seconds, then stairway to heaven.
No, it's
No, I mean, you were going to get
yeah.
moving while
If you got to hurry, it's the Beatles. Love Me Do or something, 2 minutes long.
It's the kind of thing that you can do in Japan, because they just make the rules and they just follow the rules.
That's pretty cool. Angry Ham had very first car was a Civic, ran like a dream. Yes. Only had to change oil in it. They were great cars.
Are they not anymore?
They're not as great as they used to be. They're still great cars, but back in like the late 80s, early 90s, they were bulletproof and they were intelligent and they're just as good now, but everything else has started to catch up. So, but they were just, they were just incredible back then. I heard something.
Was it you?
No.
Was that you?
That was just
okay.
now, but
No, I just heard it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Neighbors?
Or something. Yeah. No, it was...
Yeah, visitors, I did not hear. I'm too busy talking, running my mouth. Yes, I am the new guy.
Meet the new boss.
Who is the new guy? It's me, John Becker from Tennessee.
Often in the chat.
I am often in the chat.
Thanks, Wild Omelette.
John is guesting here today. He's flying back to America in a couple of days, right?
Yeah, Friday early.
The old guy's also here.
Yeah, the old
That's
guy.
me.
Yeah, Cameron, the old guy.
When's the last
is
time I
back
heard you
here.
say that?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get to say that for a few
The real
years.
old guy is also still here.
No.
Cameron, did you see John brought a souvenir?
Oh, nice.
Well, and I did learn this morning that 7-Eleven does not carry Orangina, but Lawson does.
Exactly. So. Also, I got bad news about this. Company A not carrying the drinks of Company
Oh,
B.
right.
I went to my Dimas, the bar around the back, get my fish and chips. The guy knows this way, right? I don't even know. I go sit down. The guy says, "The regular." He gestures in the back. Regular. I say, "Yep." Today, he goes, "I guess nobody remembers," and he comes out. And there's a problem. The regular stuff I ordered, the creamy top from Ebisu, the dark beer,
Okay.
or the fish and chips, and so I'm expecting him to say, "We're out of fish" or something. So he comes closer. He says,
No more Ebisu.
"No more Ebisu." They changed the contract changed. That is now an Asahi bar. There's no more Sapporo beer, no more Kirin beer, no more Ebisu. Asahi not bought the place, but they bought the salesman made the deal.
So you get super dry or pretty much
That's it.
nothing
That's
else.
it.
Wow.
Nothing. And what has happened is Asahi Beer has bought the big craft brewery around the corner here called Sumidegawa Brewing. Asahi bought them. It's now part of Asahi. So the Ebis Creamy Top black beer that I used to drink 330 for 400 yen is now 330 milliliters of Sumidegawa for 780 yen. And there's a backstory to it. Beer in Tokyo, this was told to me by Doi-san, who used to work here. He used to work for Kirin all his life.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He said, "Dave, it's territorial."
Yeah.
Asakusa was only Asahi. And it was like, this is all the gangsters. There's no way you could buy a Sapporo beer anywhere because this was Asahi territory. The big building down the street is there. Over in Ebisu and in Shibuya, you can get your Ebisu beer, but not over here. But in recent years, it's all broken down. You can buy Kirin beer anywhere in Tokyo because the territory thing is broken down. It's probably part of governments breaking up cartels or whatever. I don't know anything about the backup. But it's back. It's back.
How about that?
The beer guys are trying to turf it up again and get them out and making their deals.
Well,
So the beer I want to drink is not there, and the replacement is double price.
it's a great way to lose
I said,
business.
"See you next week." Not.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey, it's the boss.
Yeah.
Nothing with me."
That's a shame. Well, yeah, if you look at pictures of famous Asakusa, you'll see Sensoji, which is not even 5 minutes that way. And if you keep going beyond that, you get to the Sumida River, and over the bridge, there's that's all Asahi, right?
Yes, the Golden
The
Turd,
Asahi
yes, of
beer
course.
building, it looks like a big tall stein of beer, except it's square and it has a head on top. And then there's the Asahi Music Hall, is it? With the famous golden turd on top. So you could look it up. Will I be on Thursday's stream? I may well be.
Okay.
How
How long are you in Tokyo?
Feeling
Friday morning. I
Friday
leave,
morning,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I just like bothering Dave. You know. Let's see, the rats are back, the cats woke them up. That's it.
Yeah, the rats have never been gone, but we have a stand-up. They don't bother us.
Ceasefire.
We've learned their territory and our territory. And the only time there's a problem now is if the last person out forgets to close the door between the second and third floor. And that gives them access to the second floor. That's the only way they can get into the second floor.
As long as they stay out of the Kozo.
No,
But
they're-
that's
that's their territory.
I was going to say it's perfect nesting for them. Let's see.
It seems they're not bothering it.
That's good. Muri 2 is late December staying near Tawaramachi, which is very close.
Our
Yep.
district, yes, of course.
That's like 5 blocks that way.
We're halfway exactly between Asakusa Station and Tawaramachi Station.
It's more like that way then.
Yeah.
Okay. No, like if you go from Asakusa View Hotel and go straight south.
Yes, that's the same street, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Kokusai
I
Dori.
know this much about Tokyo. Cool.
That's Kokusai Dori International Street.
International Street.
Not quite sure how I got that name.
Well, somebody thought it would be a good idea. There you go. Yeah, this is my 7th trip to Japan. Every time I've been to Japan, I've been to Tokyo. That's where you fly into, unless you have access to other airports. And we generally don't from the States. We fly to Tokyo.
Well, we hear lots of people coming into Kansai these days.
Yeah, from Asia or from the States?
Oh, American Delta, whatever.
Okay. Maybe the West Coast, do you have more options?
Tennessee, not so much.
Yeah, yeah.
No, well, if I'm flying American, normally through Dallas, this time I cashed in award miles, and my overseas flights are on Japan Airlines, so I'm through Chicago. But yeah, so anyway, through Tokyo, I always come to Sensoji. Before I ever came here, I had Shiro. I'm blanking. The print of Sensoji, the big red lantern.
Kasumatsu.
Yes, Shiro Kasumatsu. So I always knew about Sensoji from all these different woodblock prints, and so I had to go to Sensoji, which is also the biggest tourist attraction in town. So I've been here every time, but I know the neighborhood a little bit. Coming in from Utsunomiya, it was just go to Ueno Station and then go to Asakusa. And
We now have great airport access because of that new line. Both airports. Huh?
Yeah.
I did go through Asakusa
and-
Both
Station.
come right through Asakusa.
right, and I'll take advantage of that tomorrow. I'm flying down to Okayama for the day.
Easiest place in Tokyo to get to from either
Yeah.
airport.
You're flying to Okayama tomorrow, and then flying back
Just for a day, yeah.
just for a day. Wow.
Yeah. Visiting a friend.
Tourists,
Yep.
that's what tourists do.
Yep.
Well, I booked the flights before I heard about the airlines are doing some kind of special promotion with really dirt cheap
Because it's
fares.
winter, of course.
But in any event, I'm flying down there tomorrow and back.
So is it a quiet season for your own job back home, January?
Actually, things start to pick up in January. They're usually dead from Thanksgiving to New Year's.
People don't think about selling houses over the Christmas season.
Yeah, they don't want to mess with the
Don't want to be in
holidays.
their house.
Well, yeah, but the New Year's things start to pick up, and they did for me. I was going great guns right up until the weekend before I flew over, and just because I shut it down.
So this is costing you.
Well, every trip costs, but
what I mean.
no, it's. I've gotten some inquiries. There's one guy who wanted to get a shoot done this week, and I told him I won't be back until next Monday working. And he said, well, I'll see if they can wait, which was really nice of him to do.
Tell me, you're doing a shoot in Tokyo. You were invited over to do a shoot in Tokyo.
Yeah,
Get some cred, build up your international. You know.
I was doing some photography work over in Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as much as I put on Facebook, I don't know if that's going to convince anyone. Let's see. Let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah.
I was wondering, with all the work, does Dave's and other craftsmen's necks hurt? And Dave's talked about this before. He's very comfortable with the microscope. It's just in the right place.
So you aren't hunched over and hurting
Yeah,
your
you're
neck.
not like this.
Whether it's here or not, or I might be a bit more leaned over. This would be a bit more comfortable, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's just a bit more natural. I mean, the desk is angled,
Yeah.
just at a comfortable. I mean, this is hundreds of years of guys figuring out how to make a comfortable working environment. None of it's stressful. I've been doing it for 40 years. I don't have any.
And figure also, Dave custom made his
we hang
furniture
the
here,
legs
so it's at
down.
the perfect height. It's a perfect angle, So that's why his head is not falling off. Let's see. Check out how Dave is using the binocular microscope. He can keep good posture while carving, so that's a good answer. Most trips I managed business class on United from Seattle. Well, this trip is all airline miles. I flew over business class on Japan Airlines, and I'm flying first class back, which will be nice. Let's see. Karen does not have a scope, uses strong reading glasses to see her work. Not great for her neck. You need a microscope.
I don't know. I mean, nothing to do with the presence of a scope or not. Whatever tool.
Well, it's
you're
just the
using.
angle
Just,
is-
work
yeah.
out a nice angle. Get your
Right.
best depth.
So you should be carving like this instead of like.
There's a guy in Canada.
Yeah,
He
arms
carves
are
up like this, and I think he's
Yeah,
he
that
doesn't do
looks-
much work. So
Yeah, my first job in before I was in photography, I did electronic drafting, usually printed circuit boards, and we had back in 1982. There would be guys who would do a drawing on Mylar. That was the layout of a printed circuit board. And to get it into the computer, we had a digitizing table. It was this big table with a beam and carriage that you'd slide the beam and move the carriage up and down and position a cursor on a spot and hit a button and move to the next spot and hit a button. And you could work like this or you could work like this, but I always ended up working like this. And after about an hour, my back would be locked up. I would be crippled. It was terrible. I don't miss any of that. Let's see. Looking to sort a drawing table to get a better posture as well. Let's see. Flyfish got a Meiji scope 2 days ago.
really, a 5, an 8, which one?
Which one?
Binocular, trinocular, what?
It's an octinocular. It's good for spiders and everything.
Octa?
Yeah.
Octinocular.
Yeah.
But are we talking about for wood carving like this, or for something else? What?
I'm assuming for carving. Yeah. It's from Flyfish for Fun.
They're begging for show and tell if we have anything to show them.
What time is it?
I am here. I've been here the whole time.
15.
I lost
I
track
don't
of
have
the
a
time.
dramatic picture show and tell. I have whatever Kawasaki sends in a couple of wood blocks. We'll show those at the signing off time, but there's no specific. It's been a quiet season for us. Quiet season.
We got an answer about what microscope. The EMZ5ST.
Yeah, okay, that's a newer one. Yeah, I'm using an 8 at the moment. The one I was using, a fusible, was a 5.
No.
And that ST is a newer model of it. But I don't know if we talked about this before. We did. I don't know. He has this or not, or for me, this is a critical part of the setup. The scope itself has the usual, what do they call it? I forget the thing there. The SWF10X, the eyepieces. This is standard for the Meiji stuff. It's basically what comes with the thing. And I don't know what numbers the main lenses inside have. They're standardized. But what's critical for me, we've got a lens that screws into the bottom of this thing. This is a lens that goes at the bottom of this thing, and this cuts the power by half. It doesn't double it.
Demagnetized.
It's 0.5.
0.5, yeah.
Yes, 0.5. And this is an 8 0.5 because it's for the Model 8. I have one upstairs, the 5 0.5. And without this, I can look too.
You've got
Yes, this is a young lady who's going to start here today.
Excellent.
So you met her. Yeah?
Oh, yes. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
We can see this now, but now to do this, to see this now, I have to drop the scope much closer, and I'm seeing only half as much stuff.
Right.
So I'm only seeing a fingernail, but it's not enough. I can't see enough territory. So I need this to show me more territory and to allow me to lift this up and make more room for my hands.
All right. The model of the teleconverter.
Whatever, does it have that's it. It's
Well,
0.
it says MA794
well,
on here, and it's also 8-0.5x.
So, but if he's got a Model 5, that's not the one he needs. He needs a 5.
Right. It'll be a 5-0.5x.
And they're not that expensive, $50, $60, whatever. I got this on, I think, a Yahoo auction. Yahoo
Good deal.
auction. But for me, this is critical, absolutely critical to have this, to show me enough territory.
All right. Questions. What size of blade do you use?
It's the
Your
same
main
thing,
blade?
4.5. I have nothing
4.5
else in my
millimeter.
life. I've never used anything but a 4.5. So 4.5 millimeters wide. It's sort of like a 1/4 inch, I guess. I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
And the scope then, the zoom is at the smallest, not the smallest, it's the farthest out, the biggest, the least microscopic of everything. When we're looking at some of the old prints, we will zoom in and, oh my God, there's a bacteria walking around. But
Yeah,
for
right.
normal use, it's weak.
Yeah. Flyfish is waiting for his 0.5 auxiliary lens to arrive. Good deal.
Great. Again, this is just the way I do it.
Wow.
Everybody's
He had to spend $126 for it.
maybe what they
That's
are
a lot.
new.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't get my new.
possible.
Couldn't find one on eBay.
Backing up, someone asked me, what does first class get you Well,
Really nice microscope, you know, I mean, just,
they were talking about my airline flight that I'm flying first class back, sorry. Let's see, I get express check-in, I get to go straight to the first class line at the check-in. I get pretty much escorted through security. You know, it's a special line for
mostly
that.
you get to go to sleep, right, on the plane.
Well,
You
no,
can
I mean,
lie
I'm
down
building up
folded.
to that. You go to the...
Who cares about anything else?
Well, no, the whole
Sorry,
thing.
John.
You get to go
Yes.
through to Japan Airlines first class lounge at Narita, and which is a nice thing because I'll be there 3 hours before departure.
And just hobnob with the rich people for lunch or something. Is that the deal? So Britain.
I like to hobnob with my equals. That'll be a good chance. I won't have time for breakfast, so I'll have breakfast there, a very light breakfast, and on the plane now business class you
Going
get.
back first class, he got earmuffs.
Oh, nice.
He's sitting there talking up.
But you know, someone asked me what does first
A
class
likely
get?
story,
No,
a
it's
likely
right
story.
here. What does first class get? Business and first both get lay flat seats. First class is a little wider, a little more room, bigger screen for your entertainment, a better menu. I know there's champagne because there's champagne in business class. I believe there is also caviar. Everything is food. Any food on the menu you can get any time.
What's a normal cost for that sort of thing? If you to buy a first class ticket, like,
A round trip ticket, I'm guessing, would be between $12,000 and $15,000.
so the point being, if you have to ask, you can afford it. But the people who just have so much money, they don't care. So that's the way it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if you've been saving 4 years of airline miles on your credit card.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. My guess is a lot of people don't pay the ticket price
No.
for first
No.
class. They get memberships or saving points, which
Yeah,
don't cost the equivalent of the $15,000.
Yeah,
that
I
it
mean,
might
they
You
might.
say this, but actually I read an analysis of how the economics of these flights work, and that the only reason we can really travel so cheaply in the back is because of the extra revenue that the airlines do earn from that front section. So there must be a lot of revenue coming through there.
Yeah.
It can't all be,
Yeah.
million
Points,
miles.
yeah.
Well, they're not giving it away. I mean, even with me accruing points on the credit card,
It's coming back to them, yes, of course.
Yeah, Americans getting
Yeah,
something
yeah.
for that.
A hired artist in the corner paints your portrait, and that's what else comes to play.
Well, there's the violin strolling through the aisles. There is caviar, yes.
We were asked, when is it now? I didn't even know I was asked to do this. I was still living in Hummer 25 years ago. One of the airline companies was starting a new service from City X, whatever, name it, Chicago to whatever. It was Virgin or something. One of the airlines that was doing a new blah, blah deal. And they had an idea that for the first class passengers, and actually, no, this was the two-deck, the 747 things, where there was an upstairs
Right.
thing. This is really, really, really a long time ago. And they were hiring different entertainers and actors and stuff to do the thing. And one idea was that I would sit in one corner of the upstairs cabin during the flight and make a woodblock print start to finish during the flight, and they would walk away with a finished print. And during the 12-hour flight, they'd come over and look at me and chat with me. And it's 12-hour working hours for me.
Right.
And they see the setup, the start at the beginning,
But
and then they walk out with the print.
Did someone actually
No, it was
approach
just,
them?
no,
Oh,
it
there's
was an
somebody's
advertising
idle
agency just
idea.
putting up the idea on the thing and stuff like that.
That would be pretty cool.
We have a little bit of a problem with, like, bringing knives into the
Yeah,
first class
that's
cabin.
other than that. Yeah.
Good morning. Hi, just hang in. Yeah, good. We're streaming until about 9:30. We'll shut off and we
Yes.
can.
A few more minutes.
What else do you get? You get pajamas, slippers.
Do you have to leave them behind, or
You get to keep the pajamas.
All
I asked
right.
about that.
Like somebody else would want them.
Well, they
So
wash
in
them.
Japan, they give you yukata that you
Yeah,
leave
right.
behind. So
What else?
that's
We're
what model-
discussing first class air travel.
It's a 5 EM.
the little or the adapter
I
at the
saved
bottom, the
a
half.
lot of airline miles
magnification.
over
The model is
and I'm
the-
flying first class.
Oh,
back to
MA
the
794.
I think that's the part number. But
Okay.
the model number. Magic scopes come in the group 5 type and the group 8 type, and they're not interchangeable.
That's great.
So I have a lens for
Pretty
the
great.
group 8. This is an 8.
Okay.
So it's an 8. You can't interchange them.
8-0.5x.
0.5 is the magnification.
And
Minus
then,
magnification this side. And then as a part number.
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, MA794 for whoever was.
But they're not interchangeable.
Right.
So
This is just for the
the
8.
Series 8.
Right.
I've got two. I've got one for the 5 and one for the 8. I've got
Got it.
just two of these scopes.
Yeah, fly fish, this is the same thing. I have the American Airlines Affinity card from Citibank, and I have for 4 years, and I've just built up, I use it for everything, everything, and over the 4 years, I've built up enough to do this trip. So
I should have been doing that. We buy, the shop here buys stuff from Amazon and we pay for it through our credit card. And I should have been thinking about this.
Saving up points.
yeah,
Saving up points.
well, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. So, yeah, I never thought about it, but I had a big year in 2016. I came to Japan twice and I flew to Dubai also.
Wow.
I actually had gold elite status for like a few months.
Nice.
Because you've been spending so much money on a credit card.
Well, and 3 long distance flights all on American and their affiliates. So
I guess it's probably getting close to time to move along here, is it?
925.
Okay, I said I have no
It's,
specific show and tell, but there is just a casual part of our daily work to show. The subscription series this year, print number 1 is finished, print number 2 is almost finished printing. These are some of the blocks for the subscription print number 3 this year, and it's going in stages. We talked a little bit about this before. The key block, I prepared it, got the design from Jed, prepared the key block, sent it off to Kawasaki Center Carver in Kobe. And when it came back, I couldn't immediately do all the color separations like we do sometimes, because Jed's given us a multiple key block this time. What I had to do is I needed the lines of this tree, and I also needed the lines of the little temple in the background. So after stage 1 was printed, I printed this on paper, got Jed's Photoshop for the temple, pasted it on the back, and sent it away to Kawasaki Center for carving key block number 2. It came back to me, and I still couldn't do all the color separations because there is key block number 3. There is another area with fine lines which determines the color. So the color in this zone is bounded by key block number 1, that tree. It's bounded by key block number 2, the roof of the shrine, and it's bounded by key block number 3, the lantern. Is Jed here? Is Jed listening?
I haven't seen that he
I haven't seen him either. Anyways, now after carving 1, transferring to 2, carving 1 and 2, transferring to 3, carving 3, I now have to transfer 1, 2, and 3 combined, perfectly lined up, to 4 more empty color blocks so she can get carving. This is why print number 3 may be late this time. Who knows? Whatever.
That's like George Martin talking about bouncing the Beatles tracks from one machine to another, and
Whatever you do, what you got to do. The other thing about
Exactly.
this, when the printers see this, they're going to say, "Oh no, not again!" Because we have a block here with very delicate lines,
and
which has
big,
to be
heavy
printed softly,
blocks.
and it's
Yeah,
got big,
Lord.
heavy lines, areas which have to be printed fat. So I have a plan up my sleeve here on how to handle this. And
he's going to split off the big area. That's going to go on another block that has to be.
Nope, we are going to go Goma. Talk about that later when we do it. Cameron, John,
right,
sign us off
yeah.
here. I got to get back to work.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, thanks to the Orangina Johnson. Nice to talk to you. If we see you Thursday, we do.
Yes.
We don't.
See you all next time.
Bye bye. Thanks for now.